And the first game we'll talk about, which is Man City minus 800 hosting Brentford 14-1. And the draw is plus 750. This is at the Etihad. Is a great kind of microcosm for the slate at large, because City, except for Erling Haaland, like everyone's getting ready to go to the World Cup. Brentford, they've got players going, but they also have a manager who knows how to motivate them and knows how to get them all on the same page, and who's going to know that this is going to be a sleepy spot for City. I expect Brentford to be one of a few teams here that are going to be really dangerous. I think this is a great spot to be playing at City. I like Brentford on the money line. They're as high as 19-1 out there. I'll be betting it. I think that we saw last year City has lost to 20-1 underdogs before. If there's going to be a team to take advantage of what could be a really sleepy City team with their eyes on Qatar, I couldn't really. There's maybe one or two other teams in this league, Brighton, maybe Leeds, that would be able to take advantage of the spot better than Brentford. But I think that's even arguable. So I'm on the Bees. Anthony, what about you?
Well, I think irrelevant of the spot, I would bet Brentford here, right? I would be perfectly happy betting Brentford plus 2.25. I think they're clearly undervalued. I think it should be a little bit under 2. Brentford continues to run pretty well this season with their performances, slightly above average expected goal difference. No reason to think they're any worse than they were last year, which is, right around an average team in the Prem. City, with their injury situation and with the World Cup situation, could be playing a makeshift back line. We're going to see the likes of Phil Foden playing a full 90. I also think this is a match you're going to see. Pep doesn't love to use all of his subs, but I think this is the kind of match where you're going to say, hey, can you give me 45? We'll get you off at half. We'll get the other guy 45. We know you both want to play in the World Cup. We know you're both on your teams, whether it's Grealish, Foden, Sterling. Sterling's not there. Grealish, Foden, geez. And Gundogan and whatnot, and De Bruyne. But this is still a pretty good Brentford team who can take advantage on set pieces if they get any. I think this is a good spot to take Brentford. I took the plus 2.25 if you found them in the app. I also will be sprinkling some money line just because you expect high variance in these kind of weekends. So yes, you've got me on one of these anti-City money lines. City will probably just roll up and
win exactly.
3-0,
I think that's the other. You're running that risk, right? Like City Pep says we're going to get a lead in the first 30 minutes and nurse it from there. And I think that's kind of how BJ is angling here.
Yeah, and even regardless of spot, obviously with, the only two guys for City, like you mentioned, it's going to be Haaland and Riyad Mahrez are basically the only two regular starters that are not going to the World Cup. So I'd imagine Pep's just going to go handbrake City here. Like you mentioned, Michael, if they get ahead, I think they're just going to put a stranglehold on possession. Brentford is obviously happy to sit in a low block and just try to counter. Even when they face each other both times last season, very, very low event type matches. Both matches were under 2.5 expected goals created. And City, I think early on in the season, we were like, hey, Pep is playing a lot more aggressive. He's playing a lot more open. I think he was trying to get more space for Haaland, look to counter a little more, but he, over the past 8 or so matches, has really put the stranglehold back on possession and has gone back to what has won City, the past few titles. City has a sequence time of 16 seconds. They're averaging 5.5 passes per sequence, and they have a direct speed of 1. Like all of that not only leads the Premier League, but it's top in all of Europe's big 5 leagues. Brentford this season defensively, though, has performed well against the big 6. Like they only allowed 1 expected goal to United, 1.5 to Arsenal, and 0.9 to Chelsea a few weeks ago. And you also look at, these are 2 low event type teams. Brentford, if you take away penalties, Brentford's matches are only averaging 2.43 expected goals, and City is only at 2.46. So under 3.5, is only minus 105, which I think is a fantastic price given the spot, given how City has been able to control games. You saw that with the Leicester match as well. And, the Fulham match, obviously a red card made the circumstances a little different. Also no Cancelo. He's on a red card suspension. So this is handbrake, snooze fest City. It's very similar, I believe, to the Leicester match. So I like under 3.5 goals at minus 105.
And of course, Brentford correlated to the under in this match, but I do worry a little bit about the City defense. If you're not totally focused, that's when you tend to see lapses in concentration and mistakes. And, you're a little late to the pressure and Brentford gets in behind, or you're a little late to, get stuck in, or you don't want to get stuck in because you're worried about getting injured. Those are the kind of situations where it's a little bit concerning. The Bees also are 8th in XG per set piece. City's been a little bit weaker defensively, defending set pieces. It's been a problem for them. Could be an angle where Brentford gets on the board. And I think 1 would be enough for me to feel very good about my +2.25 here. So, yep, Bees time.